Merielle, take 1 mark.
Marcella, take 2.
Good play, thank you.
When it came to going to therapy for the first time, for our family, it was like a cultural thing where they were just looking upon it like it was something bad, like you shouldn't be there. Why do you need therapy when, you have your family? As much as I love them, I feel like there wasn't much I could share with them without, criticism. And I absolutely love them. It's just, sometimes I feel like I need to express myself without fear of being judged or like saying that maybe I'm taking some things the wrong way. So it was just kind of a confusing time, and it's still confusing now because I'm more open with how I feel, and I don't think they take too well to that, but it is what it is. I mean, I love my dad, so my dad like helps me out, and my mom is starting to be more helpful with like dealing with my mental disorders and everything. For me, talk therapy wasn't exactly the best for me because I'm not very good at explaining myself vocally. So I actually go to dance practice a lot just to express myself through movement. And I feel like that helps me so much because every feeling you have just goes out with every limb, every motion. And you can feel so vulnerable in dance. You can cry while you're dancing, and it's just lovely. I love dance so much. My birds, oh my gosh, I love them so much. They keep me happy. It feels like I'm talking to somebody else, but in reality, they're just mimicking what I'm saying. So like, we always had birds around the house, because my grandpa loved the birds too, so it was nice to have those birds. And then I think the whole period of me when I first discovered that, you know, that I wasn't feeling too happy with like how I was feeling about life. I didn't have birds, I didn't have animals at all. And it wasn't until like 2019, that's when I ended up getting my birds. And I'm just surrounded by screaming birds all the time. It's just fun having them around. They bring so much life into the house, especially like after when my grandma passed away. I noticed my mental health declining a lot more because she was another person I actually talked to a lot. I would come sit on the side of her bed and just talk to her every night about everything that happened maybe at school, life, whatever she wanted to talk about. During that first month of my grandma passing, I did not go to dance practice at all because she was the one that always ended up at every single one of my shows. The first person to ask me, how much are the tickets? I will buy one off of you. That was a messy road for me to figure out. It didn't occur to me that I was really heading for a really big downfall until one day I came home and I was just, I hate to say it, but like, I was drunk out of my mind and I was just like, I don't feel good. And then so I finally stopped drinking. This was only like a month, and that's when I realized like, oh, maybe this is not the way to cope with, When I finally had that aha moment, I started going to dance practice again. I feel like being in the environment of dance practice, having all that like good energy around me, it started helping me like get back on track to like getting better. So when they were like, at the time I knew of depression, anxiety. I only had limited knowledge on bipolar and borderline personality. Actually, borderline personality was new to me. I didn't know what that was. So for me, that was terrifying, if anything. And then I think the most recent one for me was PTSD. I knew about that, but I didn't think that it would happen from like trauma that, came up from my grandma passing away and a few other things that I won't go into because it's just really a lot to go into. For me, it was mostly research and then finding out that I was connecting with people that actually did have the same diagnosis. If not, it felt like I was living the same life as they were. So it was just finding how to navigate through that and how they dealt with it, and then maybe finding out ways how I can, find a way to deal with it as well. So with these two, they almost feel the same for me, where one moment I'm like having the best day of my life, and then out of nowhere I just feel like not wanting to be alive, and then I don't know, it just feels like, I think the best way for me to describe it is like feeling like you're on a roller coaster but you're blindfolded, so you don't know what the tracks have. You don't know if you're gonna go for a loop, you don't know if you're gonna drop or if you're gonna keep going up. That's what it feels like for me personally. For me, I got lucky with the people I'm surrounded by. They try to understand it as much as they can, but talking to some people that don't really know what it is, they think that it's something super scary. But I mean, it is manageable where it's not super scary, but like, yeah. I don't even know how to describe how their reaction is other than like, ooh, what is that? What's helping me continue healing is knowing that there are so many opportunities out there that I don't know that I probably have right in front of me. For example, today, this was an opportunity I didn't think maybe 5 years ago that this would happen for me. So it's just knowing that there's probably something more out there that I don't know about. That just keeps me going. Even though, there are days where I'm just like, I don't know, there's a reason to keep going. But then you always think back to like, there's something out there. We don't know what it is, but it's out there. For me, it was just hopefully finding the right people to connect with. And, it's not always going to be a perfect road for you to find people. You're going to find people that are either, afraid of the unknown, or they just refuse to understand you. And then you find those amazing people that will take the time out, no matter what the situation is, to sit there with you and go, all right, let's talk this out. Everything will be okay. And if it's not okay right now, it will be. Where do I find hope? That is a really good question. Where I find hope is like imagining a better world for myself in the long run. It may not happen tomorrow, may not happen in 5 years, but I know it's somewhere down the line and I just don't know when it's gonna happen. I wanted to be here today because I wanted to share my journey, and maybe someone that ends up watching this, they will see that my journey's somewhat similar. And if she can do it, maybe I can do it too. Maybe I can find some hope somewhere too. That everything I was feeling was valid, and that it's not as scary as you think it is. It doesn't define who you are. It's just, it's just there. Being vulnerable is absolutely terrifying. If there's anything I've learned through being vulnerable, even if it's, with people that I've known forever, they will hear you out. They will listen. And if anything, they will also find help for you if you can't find it yourself. As much as it's scary, it's also a feeling of getting all that weight off your shoulders. And it's such a beautiful feeling. You can finally feel like you can breathe because you feel like someone is hearing you instead of just feeling like you're in a box talking to like nobody. I think one of my mottos that I usually go by are, there's always hope in finding something new in tomorrow. So you never know what's gonna happen tomorrow. You can literally, your life can change within minutes if you really wanted it to. And it can change within a year. You never know where you're gonna end up in a year. And one of the tips is just finding the one thing that you love doing and just going with it, because maybe that'll give you so many different opportunities that you don't think you'd find yourself at.
Any other inspirational words you'd like to share with us, Merielle?
It'll be in my book. I'm kidding. I don't have a book. I wish.
There's the button.